Hi guys, I'm finally back to finish the book of Joel. It's only 3 chapters, but I only made it through 2 before the summer began. So here we are back. Forgive me for the hiatus, but we are in the 3rd and final chapter of the book of Joel. And our prophet begins by pointing his readers to a future reality. So this is how Joel 3 begins. For behold, in those last days and at that time, when I restore the fortunes of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there on behalf of my people and my heritage Israel, because they have scattered them among the nations and have divided up my land, and have cast lots for my people, and have traded a boy for a prostitute, and have sold a girl for wine, and have drunk it. That's Joel 3, verses 1 through 3. So Joel begins by telling us about a time period in those days and at that time. So what days is he referring to? What time? When? So Joel has just finished pointing his people to the last days, which we covered back in May, if you remember, which at that time when Joel was prophesying was a future time. But at Pentecost, our New Testament writer advised us that the last days had begun at Pentecost when he says, in these last days, and he quotes the very things that Joel said in Joel chapter 2. So we went over that back in May. And so the things that Joel had prophesied in Joel chapter 2 came to pass when the disciples witnessed Pentecost. So now Joel is pointing to after the last days are over, or at the end of the last days. We're not there yet because we're still in the last days in our current time. So that is the day of the Lord is when he's talking about. This is when Joel 3:1 is referring to. So at the end of the age, basically, we find that God is going to do something. Verses 2 and following tell us what he's going to do, or at least some of what he's going to do. So God says he's going to gather all the nations. He's going to bring them to the valley of Jehoshaphat and judge them all on behalf of Israel. Who? Israel. The country? No. Rothschild Israel? No. The bloodline Jews? No. We went over this. We went through it extensively in Romans, and our New Testament writer tells us who the true Israel is. And of course, it is all those who believe in Jesus Christ. No one else. People of all nations, tribes, and countries who belong to Jesus Christ. Those who are the true Jews and the true Israel. So little wonder why this is promising and warning that he will make a decision about every single one of us based on what decision we have made about his son Jesus Christ. So it's going to happen in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is also ironically referred to as the valley of decision. So notice that God says he is going to judge everyone on behalf of his own people. God's going to judge everyone based on what we did and how we treated his people and his children. He says he is judging the world on our behalf. That's amazing, right? Think about that for a while. But why? The prophet tells us why God is going to judge harshly some, because they have done terrible and abominable things, especially to his children and his people. He tells us what those things are, at least some of them. It says God is angry that some have scattered and driven out his people, divided up his holy land, cast lots to sell his people, and traded young girls and boys for prostitution and for a mere drink of wine, it says. Does that sound familiar? There's nothing new under the sun, right? Stuff's been going on for millennia, right? But it's still going on today, and it's evil, and it's horrendous, and it's abominable to God. So these evil things that are going on today and have been going on since the days of Joel will indeed be judged by a righteous and holy God on behalf of his children. That's good news, right? So God specifically indicts the coastal regions of Phoenicia in Palestine due to their selling of his people as slaves and prisoners of war, and for taking all the wealth and treasures from his land and temples. God promises revenge. He warns of a global war wherein all the nations will be judged in this valley of decision. Our prophet likens this impending judgment to a winepress overflowing and grapes ripe for harvest. So the time of God's judgment is soon, due to the great evil that the nations have participated in against his people. So it says this, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon are darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. The Lord roars from Zion and utters his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth quake, but the Lord is a refuge to his people, a stronghold to the people of Israel. Joel 3:14 through 16. So even in the midst of this great battle and this great judgment, the Lord promises to protect and comfort his people, be a refuge to them and a stronghold to them. So after the judgment, God promises a perfect land for his people to dwell in, while their enemies become a desolation and are destroyed. He says, I will avenge their blood. I have not avenged, for the Lord dwells in Zion. Joel 3:21. So God will avenge. It's his to repay, right? Isn't that what the word says? Evil will not prevail. In the end, God saves his people and keeps them forever. Amen. And that concludes the book of Joel. I hope that's helpful. I hope it might be a little incongruent because there was such a long space between Joel 1 and 2 and now 3, but hopefully you look back over those and get some semblance. All right, so have a great day. I hope that was helpful, and we will be back hopefully with the book of Amos, one of my favorites because that's my name. We'll see you later.